to bag me a kill. Yeah, trump. Time to up the clock's ticking. Target in sight. You fought for it. Take it.
Hey, I haven't posted in a while, just wasn't sure what to post, and you know, real life stuff happens, and being busy overall, unfortunately. Was minimally with Patricia, yeah, don't ask me to pronounce that again. Hurt at your ears, I'm sorry, but yeah. I did a similar build deck back then with Arcanist Zombie Popcorn, quite a mouthful, and I felt like this build is a lot better. It is a lot better with Zombie Arcanist of enormity. And the build is a boss killer, but the mapping is not the most amazing. It does okay. As you could see at the beginning of the video, it's a lot smoother with a merc carrying you to mapping than doing it the other way where you have to put down a brand on a pack and then run, pack on a pack and run. As you could see from the mercenary showcase, it's quite amazing. Just 2 packs down and then whee, and the merc dies. So yeah, that is quite good in that sense. It can do all the Ubers. I've only done Uber Cortex. Hear me out. It's because, bear with me, I lack in skill. Yeah, shocker. I have severe skill issue and I can just not do any more, yeah. Especially the ball phase of Uber Exarch is just, yeah. Let's not start with that. So how you play this? As you could see a little bit at the beginning, you just place down a brand, you run, place down a brand, run, place down a brand, and run. And for bossing, you just put 2 in the same spot and you run, and they basically just die. It's because of the minion of instability node up here. They go down to low life and they will just explode for 33% of their life. Which, if you stack a lot of life, is a shit ton of life. My SRS are sitting on like 250,000 HP. So the ArcanistBrand summons the SRS. SRS gets summoned, take around 1 second to explode, dealing massive amounts of damage. And so yeah, you just put two down and then you retreat. No, sorry, tactical retreat, because we're not cowards. We're just being tactical in our retreat. So yeah, I'll now like go over the gearing. The most important gear piece is the gloves, with the mob minions convert 100% of fire damage to chaos damage. It's a lot more damage than keeping it into fire damage. Because with this we can also use Wither, and Wither is a really big damage increase on this. And chaos damage is just always better than fire damage. You get some big flat chaos damage with increased 50% Wither effects. And during bossing you will have permanent Wither stacks. Yes, you heard me right, permanent 15 Wither stacks. It's all thanks to our lovely bossing merc, which I will go over later in the merc section. Helm doesn't really need that much explaining, just get some energy shield, minion skill gems, resistance, and of course life, so you have a life pool. And for your implicits, just minion life and physical damage. Physical damage is a bit hard on this build, but not the worst. So just do it like that. The wand is quite self-explanatory. Minion damage plus spell minion gems and crit multi. Crit multi is just free damage for us, since we have guaranteed crits with some summoning raging spirits of enormity, because they have a lovely line that says minion hits are always crits. So yeah, that's it's a decently sized damage increase, but minion damage is better. This wand I managed to grab for like 35 divines, which is actually quite cheap for what this does. I was already doing Ubers on this, mostly Uber Cortex. He's like the easier one for this build because he has some bullshit ball face like Exile does. Wait, this is just basically the same wand, just without the minion damage, and that's around 7 divines. So yeah. And then we go over to the amulet. The amulet Ashes of the Stars is best in slot for this build. Just plus 1 level to all skill gems, but the most importantly is the quality. It helps a lot with because it raises the elemental resistance on the race Spectres. Gives more wither effect to the golem. I'll go over that later in the gem section. And more buff effect for the golems, and yeah. Even if this only gave quality, I would still be using this, so it's just magnificent. If you cannot afford a Ashes, this is a good starting amulet to start out with. I was using this for a while, and I felt like I was getting more mileage out of running an Ashes than this. 1 second. So yeah, your SRS will pop faster with this, but by bossing you can only have 2 brands on a boss anyway, and you never go above 6 anyway with bossing, so you don't really need the faster pops. If you had more cast speed and you would be popping them off a lot quicker, then this would be better, but with how I have things set up, this is just better. For the rings, I use 2 rings. I have a mapping ring, which as you can see down in the corner gives me around 1000 plus life. Because in mapping you don't really need the giga damage, for the merc does most of the things, and for bossing just the mapping ring is enough for the minus 60% all res. And then for bossing I use this disgusting ring with 70% max life and 80% damage. Yeah, this is really bringing the DPS up there for bossing. And bosses just melt with this on. Sometimes I don't even use this ring because they're already dead before they even get the chance to. Normal bosses are a real joke. So, yeah. Shield focus mostly on life, increase block, and resistance is what you need. The increased minion skill gems and increased minion life is nice, but it's not a must-have. So, yeah, just focus on those things and then go down from there. Swanen would of course be better, but I'm not sure if you've seen the prices, but last time I checked it was around 85 divines, so that's like the cost of this entire build almost. So yeah, I would not, if you want to take this to the next level, run a Svalin, but I'm already like on block capped at the moment, and it's fine, and I don't really want to farm 80 plus divines, and I kind of want to keep my kidneys, so yeah. For the armor, we use the alas. It gives 30% quality to our ArcanistBrand, which on the ArcanistBrand you want as much quality as possible, because that will increase the activation time, like how often it will plop out a SRS. So it also scales with cast speed, but it scales more with quality. So 30% from here and 26 from the ashes, and then 20% quality gets you quite up there. And it gives +2 levels to summoning Raging Spirit, which you kind of want to get up to level 30, because it is a cutoff point where after level 30 the increase in more health gets less, so just get it up to level 30 and you're fine. If you cannot get it up to level 30 yet, just replace Elemental Focus or Void Manipulation with that. Yeah. I haven't really min-maxed what is better, if quality is better for the gem or plus levels is fine, it kills stuff, so I'm not gonna spend too long time to min-max this, so yeah. The belt is the standard minion belt, Darkness Enthroned. I run it with 2 duels with minions deal increased damage, because we are always summoning minions, so. And I get 1 cast duel with increased cast speed if minion has been killed recently. They always get killed because they die within 1 second, so this is just permanently 60% cast speed. And on this one I use a increased chance to avoid shock, and then on the boots with extra 20%, so I'm basically ailment immune because I also run a Stormshroud. So yeah. And if you're not wanting to deal with ailments or wanting to be ailment immune, you can of course put in minion life. Same goes here, if you don't want the cast speed, just put in minion life, and yeah. And for the boots, use your typical life with resistance and movement speed boots. There isn't really a good prefix modifier for this, so I just put on extra evasion rating, because why not? Yeah. And then on to the passive tree. We run with 4 keystones. We have minion instability. Oh, you don't say so. And Eldritch Battery, so we can sustain our mana cost. The mana cost is quite high for me at the moment. It will poop out a SRS every half second, and it costs 65 mana. So 2 SRS on a boss each half second is already 130 mana, and then times 2 is 260 mana a second if you have 2 brands on a boss. So we kind of need our energy shield. And that's also why I cannot run Mind Over Matter, because if you take any damage, your energy shield will not recharge anymore, and so you will not be able to sustain your SRS. And for the we also run Runebinder. We don't use totems, and you can have an additional brand attached to an enemy. Oh, just double the DPS on the boss, because why not? And for the beforehand, before I had the big cluster here, and before I had the bigger energy shield pool, I went down here to grab Dreamer for the reduced mana cost, and you have the reduced mana cost in Mana Mastery, and then you have another 8, 9%, 12% here. So you can definitely sustain it with a less bigger energy shield pool, but if you do it this way, you can also get like a nice big cluster over here, which of course is more damage. And who doesn't love some good damage? Yeah. You do have to run 1 cluster up here for the increased duration, otherwise the brand will like fall off way too quickly. And for the brand mastery, for increased attachment rate is like a really nice QL, because it will attach for like longer range, and you don't have to like aim precisely at the boss. So you can just like aim around here, and then it will just snap to the boss instead of like having to snap right there. Sorry, Festus, you're being my test person. And then for our ascendancy, first go down here, then grab this. For the increased energy, minions get extra life as energy shield, and since you stack so much energy shield, it basically helps a lot in keeping the Spectres alive and your golems and your animate guardian. Then you go into Mists of Sacrifice for the Bone Offering, which helps with block cap. And as last, Plague Bringer, and because we will always have corpses around us, even with bossing. So yeah, you could, instead of this, take Commander of Darkness, but I don't do that because it gives you and nearby allies 30% elemental resistances, and that messes with your SRS speed of popping, because they get more energy shield and more energy shield, so it takes longer for Infernal Legion to burn them down. So yeah, unfortunately we cannot really run that, but even though I'm like well above, and it's well above res cap, so, and even with curses it's not really bringing me down. Oh yeah, I forgot to mention my flasks. I'm running Jade Flask for evasion, because I have a Spectre that gives me grace, so this just stacks nicely on top. Flask for phasing, because who doesn't love phasing, and Granite for more armor, and a Speed Flask, and just help, I'm dying, I need to press this flask. And then the build results also around Supreme Ostentation. I've tried to shove this in every build I can, because I really just love not having to deal with strength requirements, dex requirements, int requirements. The only like small downside in doing this is that you don't get the benefits of the attributes, but you can attribute them away into like more health and more fire res, more cold res. So yeah, it's not really that big of a downside then in my opinion if you can just tattoo away the attribute nodes. So yeah, I have quite a good hubris going on for me here. Like increase maximum life, this is already like 240%, and then I have this as my anoint for like even more evasion rating, and I even down here have like an increased mana efficiency if I wasn't running an Enlighten in my setup, so this is quite good. And before I got this jewel, I was going up here for like 80% chance to avoid shock, so that was giving me ailment immune with Storm Shroud. So yeah, it's quite the good jewel. At the moment, it's also quite cheap. I think like last time I checked, like 2 divines for this specific jewel. Of course, after the video, if my video somehow pops off, which I highly doubt, it will not be available anymore. But just any jewel down here with just Supreme Ostentation and like some nice notes on here. And here's already like good enough, like minion damage, minion life, more life for yourself. It's fine, whatever really. And then down here I'm running a impossible escape, because this overlaps here, so I can grab these 3 down here, and so I can also grab this life wheel node here with reduced cost, and not at a big of investment. So yeah, and then up here we're running 3 Grand Spectrums. It's 90% increased crit multi, and we always crit, so it's basically just 390 crit multi for our build. Big cluster here, what I said just now. 4% chaos res and 4% all resistance with increased effect. Now it gives me like 5% all res and 5% chaos res per little small node. So it's basically also almost chaos capping me, and well sustaining my elemental resistance. So yeah, this is just a dead node. It came with a large cluster, and then just a lovely Storm Shroud down here for the elemental avoid. Yeah. And then we go over to the gems. Let's start with the helm. Slot your enemy guardian in here with Grey Spectre. With element armor support and meat shield, it will keep the Spectres alive in most content. I say most. They have died twice when I was doing expedition with this lovely scarab over here. This one. It was doing it fine, the build was doing it fine, but the Spectres will not survive the onslaught that is on Gears because it's extremely rippy. It's also quite nice because you can just put two over there and then you just run like away and they will do the work over there. You don't want to put down you don't want to attach more than four marks to the enemy, because then you will spawn out too many SRS at once, and then they will overflow to 6 SRS, and then it will not be will not explode, because if it goes to 6 and it summons the 7th one, it will override the first one without making it explode. So yeah, just be mindful of that. Yeah. How we are keeping this Spectres alive is thanks to the Ashes of the Stars, giving the gem more quality, and so it gets like 46% extra resistances. Yeah. And enemy guardian, it gives more movement speed, but who cares about that? It's mostly to keep the Spectres alive as well. And then for the wands, desecrate linked with spellcastate. This will make it so you spawn 2 sets of corpses. One you will then eat for the bone offering, and then you will still have like a set left here on the ground, which then triggers the Plaguebringer Ascendancy, which is important if you put an entire Ascendancy point in there. Yeah, and a bone offering to be block kept. Shield, anything can really go in here. Anything that doesn't need links. I have my shield charge, flame dash, and my despair in here, so I can just like dash around. Before this, I had shield charge linked to a faster cast. No, not faster casting, faster attacking. So you would be a bit faster, like shield dashing around, but I linked it to an enlighten. So now I linked my auras to an enlighten, so now I can run a different annoyance set. I'm a little bit slower when mapping like this, but it's still fast enough for me, so it's whatever. And I mostly do bossing anyway, so for me it's not as important. For the boots, aura setup. There's not many auras that really benefit this type of build, because the minions explode and there's not really anything that increases the explode damage that they do. So what I've opted for is Skitterbots for the shock, haste to give us more movement speed and more cast speed, so the SRS gets summoned faster, because it will affect the activation often activates, and determination for a bit for armor and for the tank of it. Gloves comp is for your golem setup. For the Summon Stone Golem, for the life regen, at the moment gives me like around 400 life regen, and my Warlord gives me like around 70-ish with the life regen. I will go over the Spectres later, don't worry. The Summon Stone Chaos Colors of the Maelstrom is really big in this build as well. It will make an aura around it when it's an enemy, like around this size, which will wither enemies in its area. And that wither has a 46% increased effect. So you're basically getting a really effective wither. And with bossing, it will be permanent when you get the merc that I have set up for bossing, which I'll show off later in the merc section. So yeah, and of course Ashes also increases the quality on this even more. So it's just a big win. And you don't have to deal with wither totems as well, because who loves dealing with wither totems? Not me. So for me it's just a big win-win. And then for the main link, summon raging spirits with ArcanistBrand, Infernal Legion, so they take damage and explode. Main light is basically the biggest damage increase you can give this. And then Awakened Elemental Focus and Awakened Void, because these two are the biggest damage increases here. Like I said earlier, if you don't have it at level 30 yet because of your gear and whatever, you replace one of these, get an Empower and put the Empower in a red socket, so this gets to like level 30 plus. So it gets more life modifier and more critical strike. Yeah. I'll now go over the Spectres. I have turned down, well, because I'm recording, I'm doing this with no sound volume, because otherwise you would be kind of going crazy listening to me rambling. And there was a yelling of "Wah! Wah!" going on at the time, so so yeah, I turned it off. But yeah, it's not the worst for me, but if I'm sitting in my hideout talking, I don't want to listen to that, and neither do you. So yeah, like I've only really lost the Thunderbird and the Pain Artist during mapping, but like I said, they are tanky enough to survive everything. The perfect Thunderbird, the little birdie running there, he costs around 30C last time I checked, and he gives you grace for additional evasion, so just casually I'm already sitting on like, let's see, chance to evade attacks are like 59%. And then if I then use the flask, it's already 71% chance to evade an attack, so yeah, he's doing quite good there. There's also option to get iron reflexes, but yeah, have fun traveling all the way down to all the way down to get that. It's way too much point investment for me, but I do think this would be better. And then for Force Warrior, he's somewhere in this mess, I think there. He's giving me Onslaught and Cull, but you get Cull from the Enemy Guardian. So yeah. You don't need the perfect Force Warrior for this, because even though it says on the tooltip only the perfect Force Warrior gives Onslaught, the normal version does it as well for some reason, so spare yourselves from currency and just get the normal version. Pain Artist, he's my third Spectre of choice. He's just there for the increased... he gives 30% extra crit multi in allies around him. And that's basically his purpose in life, just to give my SRS extra crit multi. Yeah. So that is... yeah, there's not really many Spectres you can really like do with that. There's also a Spectre that gives increased damage to constructs around it, and SRS are counted as constructs, but it is a buff it gives out sometimes. And you cycle so much through SRS, it's not really worth it to use it. And any Spectre really after that is extra, so you don't really need a fourth Spectre. But I'm just naturally getting there with like a level 20 plus 6 levels from global modifiers, so my gym is not even level 21. So yeah, as a fourth Spectre, I went with the Warlord for the endurance charges and for the Fatality. The Fatality aura is not big enough to really affect the SRS explosions, like a 60% increased health regen, so it's not really that big of a deal. It's nice for you, and for the SRS it doesn't really matter. And you can also get other Spectres if you don't want to spend any money on Spectres. There is some decent Spectres for free that you can use. For example, you have the Pale Seraphim for increased damage taken on enemies. It does with his yell. You have the Runes Hellon Brown Dog that provides 30% increased damage and reduced damage taken. The damage isn't really helpful since you cycle through, like I just said, to your SRS deck quickly. And Arena Master for like increased cast attack and movement speed. I did forget to go over my enemy guardian, let me do that real quick. He's wearing the Kingmaker and a very expensive Garb of the Ephemeral this season. Normally it's like 20C, but this season Mercs can wear it, so it's like 10 Divines. It was like a last minute upgrade I did for him. And he's wearing the helmet that serves 8% of life of enemies around him, and I don't even think he's wearing boots, is he? No, mine is bootless. Oh, okay, good to know. And for gloves, he is wearing the... What's he wearing again? I forgot which gloves he's wearing. Oh, lovely. Well, it's not a damage increasing glove, so yeah. I will go over my merc setup now. Like I alluded to earlier, I'm running 2 mercs. This is my kinetics
Not
for
just here to
mapping.
stare, I hope.
He's just a generic kinetic setup with like a shit lightning wand, the Matsutapuna shield, probably butchered that for the like increased haste, and this for so I take fire damage instead of physical damage, 25%, replica highest ire for the shit ton of flattened head lightning damage. This is just unnecessary, but you just have it because why not? Nearby enemies of malediction, 10% increased damage taken. Another defensive layer for me, making nearby enemies are blinded, so they're less likely to hit me. Increase curse limit, so I can also curse if I feel the need for it, but whatever. And then the Coiling Whisper combined with Assonets for like just easy stacks of Soul Eater for my merc. And then for my the bossing merc,
Don't look too closely.
basically how you get permanent Wither stacks is a combination of this and this. The story of the Val and the fate of the Val has a lovely line that says, with this weapon, hits with this weapon always ignite, freeze and shock. And we only care about the ignite part. And then we go over to Black Flame that says, Withered does not expire on enemies ignited by you, but it does not state that the Withered needs to come from the Merc. Yeah, do you see where this is going? So the column withers the boss with Wither stacks with 46% increased effect, and he ignites them, and then the Wither stacks permanent. So you have very easy access to 15 permanent Wither stacks on bossing, and it's actually like kind of disgusting how fast the boss will just melt. So yeah. And now I have shown you this amazing setup, and I recorded a Fears in advance, and I forgot to switch my merc to the bossing merc. Basically, I did the Fears not even with permanent Wither stacks, and it still just destroyed the Fears. So yeah, I will be showcasing that in a bit. And first I will showcase my POB. Now, as you can see on the POB here, we are sitting on full DPS of 46 million. That is on a boss with full 15% Wither stacks with 46% increased effect. Even if you like put this down to 10, you're still on 38 million. 5 is still like 30 million. Plenty for bosses. And I've put the 2 rings in here as well. The mapping ring, still 30 million is plenty enough for map bosses and any other things if the boss is then gonna just get like a DPS ring out there and you'll be doing all the damage. Yeah. So yeah, this is I'll link the tree in part of. I'll link the tree. I will link POB in the description. And yeah, I will now play the bossing I recorded beforehand, Jahula, Uber Cortex, all those bosses, and 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 finish it with the Fiat run. I did die once, but that was me being stupid, running around as a headless chicken and stopping in front of Uber series, in front of Fiat series. Not the smartest thing to do, but yeah. I thank you for making this far into the video, and if you just skip to this and hello, my name is Remy. And yeah, I hope you enjoyed the video, and if you want to leave a comment telling me how good it is, or how amazing the build is, or how much it sucks and you cannot stand the yelling of the guys, or the build is shit, let me know in the comments and I'll just respond as a good YouTuber should do. And well, thank you for watching, and have a good day.
Spoil and fester.
Exile, do something. Know your
I've never
place.
seen anything like this. Complete it for me! Life is so brutal. Shadow, rise and fight! Storm and heart. Storm and heart.
Gaze together.
Die quickly.
All the flesh is so fallible. Storm and heart. I've never seen anything like this. Shadow, rise and fight!
got some ingenious designs hidden in his memories. Observe! Light of salvation! Darkness!
Kneel!
Now those designs were flawed. Do you remember dying here? Will. What are you? Is this the realm of the past? I am king, and you will bow. This one is my own creation. Light of salvation! Ah, let's go where that came from. Face your destruction. Be no...
You are nothing!
Feel the pull of the void. No! Impossible! How? This isn't over. This will never be over. I will unify humanity.
The long-awaited event is finally here. Time bends to my will. Time to up the stakes. Resist the assault.
Well, better you than me.
Twin terrors. Grasp your mortality tightly.